Bentonville just changed two major rules to make sure housing gets done faster and more affordable in the area itself. Today we're covering what are those two rules and really will it change housing affordability in Bentonville, Arkansas? So let's talk about that. Hey everybody, if you don't know who I am, my name is Phillip Shepard. I'm a local real estate agent located right here in Northwest Arkansas. If you weren't aware, I actually was a real estate broker located in the dumpster fire, the horrible, the no good state of Illinois, the worst. Anyways, I could have moved anywhere I wanted to in America. I could have moved to Asheville, I could have moved to Utah, I could have moved to Colorado, I could have moved to Texas, I could have moved anywhere I wanted to in America. But I chose Northwest Arkansas, and it is by far the best place to live in America, literally by far. If you ever want to talk about why I chose Northwest Arkansas versus anywhere else in America, call me, email me, whatever it is. We can meet up for coffee and talk about, again, why I chose Northwest Arkansas, again, anywhere else in America. Side note, if you are looking to reload to Northwest Arkansas, again, let me know right away. I help so many people every single year move from one state to Northwest Arkansas. My biggest vision, again, is helping as many people move here as possible to, again, the #1 place to live in America. All right, so if you weren't aware, obviously in the last couple years, Bentonville home prices have gone up substantially for obvious reasons. A lot more people have moved here, Walmart HQ, brand new businesses, all the trail systems, all the attention, all the yada, 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 etc., etc., etc. All the things, we're aware of this. Obviously, Bentonville needed to make some changes in the actual permitting process to make housing easier to build in the area itself. One of the big rules that they just changed, which actually will drastically reduce not only the speed, in a good way, speed of which housing is developed in Bentonville, but also the cost. Now, let me explain what this rule is. Essentially, for the most part, is that it allows builders now to be able to obtain a building permit before the final plat is finished, meaning that as a general sense, the way that organizations happen is that you have to actually have to get everything completely done, buttoned up completely, and then you can actually file for a building permit. The problem is that it takes sometimes so long to actually get your final stuff done because there's obviously going to board meetings, they want to change here, there's fire lanes, there's this, there's that, there's a lot of things happening when it comes to the final plat along the whole process. So they're saying, hey, we're gonna issue a building permit, and basically what that does is it kind of just gets that process going. And then on top of that, we're going to then allow you to actually do the final plat later. There are some details, especially when you're building, that only get done there's always changes along the way. So that's why it's like you can start the process or at least get things rolling so that when you actually get the final plat done, you can start moving really fast, really quickly. So that's the first kind of thing. Now this will actually do why this is a big deal is because not only will it actually make the speed of which buildings faster, which is the biggest thing, but the other factor, which is honestly the most important one when it comes to affordability, is the hundreds of thousands of dollars that actually is saved when it comes to the actual interest rate of actually holding that loan. When a builder actually goes to actually purchase the land, and then they actually have the loan against the land, they say, hey, we're going to purchase this land, here's our thought process, they're still holding on to that loan. And it takes sometimes 2 to 3 years before they actually get done with the full project. If they hold on to that loan with that land and say, we're going to build these things, now the only thing they have to do is actually start getting the building permit and also working on the actual final plat. That might reduce the actual time from 3 years to a year and a half, maybe even less. And so not only does this apply to single family, but it applies to condos, it applies to townhouses, it applies to apartment buildings overall. And honestly, even hotels to some extent. Any sort of business, any sort of build out in Bentonville is going to apply directly to this. So the savings is going to be astronomical when it comes to this whole process here. So in theory, all in theory, of course, with competition, with everything else that happens in Bentonville, in theory, with capitalism, we'll say it that way, and free market systems, it should start, in theory, reducing the price of apartments, condos, townhouses, all the building construction comes into it, should be reduced, I would say substantially, but at least, a couple percentage points, maybe 5-10%, just because of the fact of that how fast and more efficient they can operate with this brand new rule happening in Bentonville. And the second big rule that changed basically Bentonville housing forever is going to be this basically on-site, on-deck, always ready architects and engineers to be able to help solve small issues when they actually come up in the building process. Meaning is that when you have the first rule, which says, hey, we're going to issue you a actual building permit and then actually the final plat map, in that actual design phase is when those kind of issues happen. Usually, like I said before, it usually goes, you get the final addition, here's what we're gonna do, you go back and forth with the city for a while, you solve issues here, and then you actually go get the final plat, and then you start building. Whereas they're kind of flip-flopping this, or kind of correlating, kind of like put at the same time, which is we're gonna be allowing you to start the actual building permit and also then expecting a final plat within this much time frame. They have engineers and people on site, basically on staff now, that will be able to work with the developers to solve these small issues. So when they actually go to the city, these are already negotiated and done and solved before they actually have to go back again. Because if the city only meets once a month or twice a month or whatever it is, the problem is that you only have so many opportunities to get in front of the board, in front of the city, in front of the mayor, in front of whoever. So if you can solve these issues before they actually get there, so when the actual next, we approve this kind of situation happens, then those issues are already done. They're already been negotiated, they've already been solved. They already know the rules at play. The engineers and the architects are working together with these developers to say, hey, we can obviously solve these beforehand. Now, there are always going to be issues that come up that are going to be very specific. They might have to go to the actual city with those things. Who knows? But having like 95% of all issues can be solved with engineers and architects versus always going to the actual board to solve these issues. So this second rule definitely is a key part of the first rule itself. Whoa, 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 whoa. I made something for you. I made something called 3-day itineraries. So maybe you're looking to take a trip down here, maybe you're looking to check out the whole area, checking to see if it's for you, maybe you're just checking out just vacations. I made 3-day itineraries, like literally day by day, restaurant by restaurant, thing by thing, everything when it comes to Northwest Arkansas. So basically you have a full-on plan of what to do when you roll into town. So maybe you're a adventurer, maybe you're a sports person, maybe you're a foodie, maybe you're a sightseer, maybe you have kids, whatever it is. I have 3-day itineraries linked down below for you. So go ahead and download them and use them when you get down here. Also, you might be using things like Realtor.com, Zillow.com, or Redfin. Way too slow. Notifications, way too slow. That's why I made something called Instant Home Updates. Sounds like what it is, literally it's Instant Home Updates. So enter information below, name, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage. Where do you want to move to in Northwest Arkansas? Enter all the information below and make sure to miss a single notification when it comes for home for sale or for rent, all in Northwest Arkansas. Also, every single Friday, I send an email out just talking about all the cool things happening in Northwest Arkansas. What's going on downtown Bentonville? What's going on First Fridays? When is First Thursdays? What's going on in Fayetteville? What new buildings are coming to Springdale? What new things are going on in Rogers? When's the Saturday? There are so many things all the time. Enter your name below, enter your email below, and make sure you get that email every single Friday. But I need you to be aware, I need you to heads up. You will get a little fear of missing out, a little, we'll say FOMO, so to speak. But I promise you will be the most informed person eventually when you make it down to Northwest Arkansas. And the third and final thing we need to talk about with these brand new rules happening in Bentonville, Arkansas when it comes to housing is will home prices actually fall? Will they take a backseat? Will it even make a difference? Now, the short answer is probably not the way you think. In the next 5 years, Bentonville is planning a huge surplus of condos, apartments, townhouses, those kind of multi-mill family styles of living. And those don't really exist to an extent here in Northwest Arkansas. They are getting way more popular. There's so many on the deck. This will affect their price, not necessarily single family homes. There are not a huge amount of single family homes being built in Bentonville as much anymore. They've kind of plateaued, if not dipped, in the last 2 years because it's just, it doesn't make sense to continue to build single family homes all the time for Bentonville because land is so, we'll say, scarce in Bentonville. So keep that in mind, is that will it affect condos and multifamily? Certainly. But they're already gonna be more affordable as it is because, just the way that they're structured, the way that they're done, etc. But it does actually add a huge value to the area itself in Bentonville because it does allow more opportunity for those condos and townhouses to be built and sold for people to actually own in actually Bentonville, Arkansas. So it will create a sort of unknown affordability versus, of course, for time travelers, it might be completely different. We might be able to see if this wasn't passed, this would be the price. But obviously, to my knowledge, none of us are time travelers yet. But regardless, yes, it will be a price reduction, but you may not actually see, you won't actually see, here's what it would have been, here's what it versus what it could have been, or what it is currently. So yes, it will be a price reduction. It will be passed on in a good way to the actual buyers themselves, because the actual builders want to, continue to push product, continue to build things, and to move those things across the board. And so they will definitely pass on the savings to the buyers, because if they don't, then other builders will eventually pass those on to the buyers. And so it's just kind of a trickle-down effect in a good way, because usually when businesses fight, when Target, Walmart, Amazon, they always fight, the consumer oftentimes always wins, because they are going to find the cheapest one affordable and most available. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. Again, if you haven't been down to Northwest Arkansas quite yet, I made something called the NWA Starter Pack. Sounds like what it is, literally a starter pack full of all the cool things in Northwest Arkansas. It comes with a 120-page guide, literally made by me, of all the things happening in Northwest Arkansas. Population, demographics, schools, all the things you want to know about Northwest Arkansas, all the cool things happening, all the things right here, 120-page guide, comes right to your home. It comes with my 3-day itineraries, it comes with postcards, it comes with stickers, it comes with this handy dandy, you just get this for obvious reasons, the NWA coloring book, all right? This is just a trip and a half. I think I'm in here somewhere. Hold on. Oh, there I am. Oh, you need this. You want this. I will send this to you, I promise. Anyways, you definitely want the NWA Starter Pack. So it's literally a box shipped right to your home. Enter your name below, enter your address below. Make sure you get that package shipped to you right away. Box right to your home. Side note, it does come with your first free mountain bike, so that's pretty cool. And I know what you're thinking. It's my favorite folder, F word. Free! So enter your information below. Make sure to get the package shipped to you right away. All right, guys, see you in the next one.